Hello, everyone. Reggie Time here. We're back with Owen. We're not going to mess around too much with the idle chit chat other than to say hello. And how's it been going this week, Owen?
It's been going well, mate. I've had a good week. Actually, I did get in a bit of a hole at the beginning, but I'm nearly out of it.
Mm.
And yeah, I've been enjoying it. That's the main thing, and I feel like I'm
Excellent.
taking everything on board. We'll find out now, won't we?
Well, we certainly will. I noticed that you commented on YouTube saying you've been doing some GTO wizard drills. How have you been getting on with them?
Um, well, actually, I've been doing two at the start of the week. One just a pre-flop one, which I feel like I'm pretty much getting the two ticks most of the time. But what I've noticed is I've been doing a drill where you play the entire hand out,
Yep,
and post flop, most of the time, I'm getting one tick,
that's still very
not
good.
two.
The one
Okay,
tick's good. That one tick's like, yeah, what you've done there is a thing. It's when you
yeah,
start getting I mean, you can get away with like the orange slash yellow stuff because that's normally just like a sizing not even an error really, just like a
yeah,
sizing inaccuracy. It's when you start
yeah,
getting the red circles, or even worse, the red triangles. That's when
yeah,
you need to look
yeah.
into it. Like, right, okay, why have I done this? And
Yes,
why is this telling me that's not ideal? And don't forget, sometimes you might do something um, in the game because you're deliberately trying to exploit somebody that will come up as a blunder. But when you're doing the GTO as a drills, I guess what we're all aiming for is to try and get two ticks as often as possible. Because what we're doing when we're doing those drills is we're trying to find out what is like the thing here that makes me unexploitable. So the more we do the drills, the more we try and make ourselves have a knowledge of what makes us unexploitable. So
yeah,
then when we do want to deviate for exploitable reasons, we know why we're doing it. If you're doing something in the first place that's fundamentally wrong from like an equilibrium standpoint, then any adjustments you make from that are going to be wrong too. So the closer we can get to playing no one's ever going to get to like playing anything like pure GTO. We might not even get to ever playing fucking 10 or 15% of pure
yeah,
GTO. But if you're getting like regularly getting one tick and that the yellow ones, then you're going to be doing just fine. And then when you're in game, you can be like, right, well, I think I know what I would do here if I wanted to get a positive score in GTO Wizard. But against this player, can I do better than that? So, if you're playing against a reg, you might be like, well, tell you what, I just do what I think would get me the best score in GTO Wizard until I know
yeah,
more about this player. But if you're playing against a fish who like never fold rivers, you might be in a spot where you're like, right, well, I know I need to bluff at a decent frequency here, but this guy has called 4 out of 4 rivers with some bad hands, so I'm not going to bluff him. So then you'd be like, I know what gets me the tick here, but I'm not going to take that option against this particular player because this isn't a player that I want to be bluffing at equilibrium. It's somebody I want to be never bluffing or very, very rarely bluffing, or vice versa. You might get to a river against somebody who like hasn't called a river yet.
Mhm.
You might have faced 8 river bets and not called one of them. So against that player, you might be like, right, well, okay. I know how often. I know kind of like what frequencies I need to be bluffing here. But against this guy, I'm just going to massively increase some frequencies because he's making himself very exploitable. So I'm not bothered about um, making myself exploitable. So that's how we do it. We do the drills just to try and get ourselves um, familiar with what is an okay play.
Yeah,
Without any extra information, and then
yeah, yeah.
the better we get at that, the better then where our deviations are going to be when we have reason to deviate.
Hmm.
Anyways, let's crack on. That's 3 minutes. We haven't looked at a hand yet. Ryan will be fucking
Don't worry,
furious.
we got plenty for him though. Right, shall I click the action?
So we've got an
So
absolute whopper dopper doodah.
I can see there's two actually.
Uh, so he's playing a 95 VP with the 5 PFR. So genuinely, I'm already a little bit nervous because he's only got a 5% PFR. Now, at the minute, it could be anything, but I'm
Yeah.
really hoping you're not about to 3 bet.
No, no. Well, if I played this now, I would call. Let's see what happens. I shouldn't make promises, should I? There you go.
Good. I think against somebody like if this was Villain 2 opening from
This
middle
guy down here.
yeah, if that was him with those stats, and those stats were like over a large sample, so they were reliable. I think tens then becomes a mandatory button 3 bet or very close to mandatory. But against someone who so far has played 21 out of 22 hands and only raised one of them, I'm more willing just to take the passive route to begin with.
Mm. Um, s- right. Let's see what happens. This guy's quite a good opponent. Oh, with 4 ways to the flop with public tens. Okay. Right. Check. Check. I think I should check. That
I
would be what
agree.
I would do now.
Yeah,
Yep.
betting would be betting into three people here. Now, there's a good chance 10 to the best hand, so I wouldn't hate just making a small bet because we do have the 95-5 we can get value from. We do have the 69-19, who could both have hands that are significantly worse than tens that want to call. So I wouldn't hate bet as a if this was like a more normal table that just happened to go multi-way and every player had more normal stats. This would be a slam dunk check. Maybe because we have two such like potentially big whoppers in the hand,
Yeah.
maybe there's some value in betting our tens here. But we've still got two streets to negotiate, so we might bet our tens here. And then there's lots of like runouts that that aren't great for us. And do we want to really start building a big pot? I don't know. I can go two ways here. Bet small to charge. Right? If villain three or villain one have got any kind of straight draw on that board, and by Christ, there are plenty of straight draws out there. 5-4, 6-5, ace-4, ace-5, all those types of things. If you've got pocket pairs lower than tens, they're probably going to call one bet for that if you bet like quarter pot. Um, they might even just call with a hand as bad as ace jack or something like that. So I think there is, potentially some value to be had with tens, but they're just so
Mm.
vulnerable to being like outdrawn. And do you really want to build a big pot? We bet and one of
No.
them calls and a jack comes on the turn. That's not great. An ace comes on the turn, we're probably close to dead. Like any card that completes a straight draw comes,
Yeah.
we're in rough shape. So
The
I think it's
wheels
just
and
a bit
stuff. Yeah.
too
Yeah.
thin. I think it's
Yeah.
less thin with villain three and villain one in the pot. I think it's far less thin, but I still think it's maybe a bit on the thin side multi-way. So I would check back.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
Ah,
bingo.
now let's go.
Check. Oh,
Right, okay.
that's interesting, isn't it?
It,
Okay.
yeah, I think it's depending on
Shall I
what
take it to
happens. Yeah, it's so.
he folds?
What do we think his range looks like here?
Value wise,
No, just his overall range. Like
he's
how
got
strong do we think he is?
um I th he can have pocket queens, I think.
Excuse me.
He's the small blind. He's the bright blind, right?
Yeah,
Oh no, he would have four bet them. He would four bet them. No,
he
no,
would
he can't.
absolutely squeeze
Four
them
bet them
free.
pre-flop. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. He could have squeezed them free.
the only way he's
He
got
can.
queen C is if he's misclicked
Yeah,
on the
yeah. I
flop.
agree. Sorry, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's we've got the two whoppers in. He looks
Yeah,
reggy-ish, doesn't he? Yeah, yeah. He can't have pocket queens. He can have the two smaller sets, I think. He can have deuces and threes. And he can have lots of straight draws as bluffs, I think. Um, I mean, he called in the big round. He can have jack nine suited,
so
can't
do
he?
you think? Right, I agree that he can have the two lower sets in his range, but do
Yes.
you think with these two players in the pot, he's gonna just bet one third pot with the set on the turn after the flop checks through?
I think he would probably bet bigger if I'm honest.
Yeah, I would. If I was in this
Yeah.
spot, and I had a 95 VPIP and I had a 69 VPIP, I would fuck leading for one third pot on the turn. Maybe he is. Maybe he's just bad, and he's just like, well, okay, I'm probing the turn. I want to probe wide here, so I'm going to probe one third. But he's not. He shouldn't be probing wide here because he's got a 95 and a 69 VPIP
Yeah.
in the pot. So his range for betting here should still be very polarized, in my opinion, for this spot.
Yeah.
It should be stuff like 5-4. It should be stuff like set of deuces, set of threes, set of tens, which we know we can't have, obviously, but if we didn't have tens, that would be in his range also, because maybe that doesn't squeeze free. So I think he shouldn't be using this size here because he shouldn't have any hands that want to bet small. Even if he's got a hand as strong as King Queen here, he should want to bet larger on this turn because of the presence of villain three and villain one. He should just want to bet two thirds
Because
pot or
they're
something
gonna
like that
call. Yeah, yeah.
because they
They're
might
gonna
call
call.
with a 10, they might call with straight draw still, they might call with Queen Jack. queen nine, all sorts of things like that. So I think because
I,
his range here is going to be
yeah,
so value heavy, um, and
yeah,
then it's going to have some of his bluffs are going to have not great equity with just one card to come because all of a sudden it's 5/4 of the world. They're not as strong now as they are in the flop when you've got two chances to
yeah.
hit. So I think he's
There's not.
probably going to be in a lot of his going to be in the Queen X region, in like the King Queen, the
Yeah,
Queen Jack. With this sizing, it looks to me like he's just trying to like value better Queen.
yeah. Also, now you've brought up the two other players in the hand. Yeah, that's going to mean he's got less bluffs, isn't it?
He has to have
I
less
don't,
bluffs
yeah,
because
yeah, I
it's
agree.
not
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
work very well. So
I
when
think I
it,
did think. Yeah.
Yeah, so when he's gone over rage like this, and this is like in theory you want to balance and like right, okay, I'm probing turn, so I'm just going to probe for a smaller size. In practice in this hand, absolutely fuck that. If he's got a set of threes, fucking blast. Because if someone's got a queen, you want to start building a
Almost
pot
pot.
quickly
Yeah.
because you've got
At
two
least three
streets to
quarters,
go.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No,
if I had say even ace queen here in his shoes or king queen, I would still have bet 2/3 pot here. With a set, I'm going to bet full pot. Um, because I just want to build a pot. There's a we've got one more street to go on, and currently the pot's not big enough. So I'm
and
just gonna like
yeah.
use exploitably large sizings, hoping one or more of the high V pip players comes along. So bearing in mind what my read on his range is here with your two tens, I would actually raise here because we need more money going in the pot on this street than just four blinds. And I think
Okay.
he is not going to fold a
Yeah.
queen. If I wouldn't. We don't need to raise very big because we are trying to hope to get called by Queen X, and then we're hoping to get called by any draws he is leading with. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't wait for the river. He could be call and then small blind folds. We get to the river. There's only going to be 20 blinds in the pot. I would make a small raise here. Again, it's very exploitable. But I'd be like, right, well, I think you've got a queen. I think you've got king, queen, queen, jack, that type of thing. Maybe you've got 5/4. Maybe you've
Mm.
got ace five, ace four, that type of thing. They're all going to call a small raise. So I would raise to something like 12 big blinds here. And if he checks on the river, I would overbet, assuming that the board doesn't change significantly.
Would okay. I think I don't think that's what I did. I can't remember actually, so I might have done that, but I called. And can I just explain why I think I did this?
Okay.
I think at the time I thought that because I want to play a big pot, I wanted to keep this guy in the hand. Which sounds like it's a mistake.
What
But
do you want to keep him in the hand with?
um,
That's going to be able to play a massive. So what do you want to keep him with now? That's then going to play a massive pot in the river after he's just checked twice. So
well,
everything he's
I
done so far in his hand screams weakness. He's just called out the small blind. He's checked flop and he hasn't led the turn. Now the flop check's just
no,
procedural because he's out of position in the multi-way pot. He should check 100% of his range. But the turn, he should now start leading. If he's got a strong
yeah.
hand, he should start leading it. So when he doesn't lead again, what are you hoping to play a big pot against on the river?
Well, I suppose a large part of what he's going to come along with is draws, which could get there, isn't it? So,
Yeah, so if we play a large pot on the river because he comes along with 5/4 suited, then it's going to be
I'm
because
losing.
it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be an ace or a
I
six, or all of a sudden he just freaks out on the river and just does some stupidly large overbet on
yeah,
a brick. Say the river comes like the seven of something, so it's a total break.
yeah,
Maybe then he just like right, well I'm just going to bet pot now, or something like that. So maybe he might you might let him stay in with the straight draw that misses, and then maybe he bluffs it. But he hasn't
yeah.
done anything so far
Or he,
in this hand to make me think all of a sudden
yeah.
he's going to wake up and start piling chips in the pot.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, it's a mistake. I got a set. Let's just bet. Yeah, yeah. Right.
Oh,
Here we
but
go.
you get joy of joys. You get this. This is quite magnificent news.
I got lucky here, didn't I? Well, we
No,
might not have.
not.
Not yet.
Well, it doesn't. You're not to get lucky. Because calling's. I'm not saying calling's a bad option. I just wouldn't have chosen it. So it's not lucky. So, like, don't be putting yourself down. You just chose a different option to the one I would have taken, and it looks like it's working out very nicely for you. So
Still
now
in
what
two
do we do
faults.
facing this?
Well, he's got 86 left. If I call, I think I should jam. because I've got the perfect. His if I call, the pot is literally the same size as his stack, pretty much. So I would just go all in here. And if he has gone crazy with a draw, he might call now. He's not going to call if he misses on the river, is he?
No, but he might bluff if he misses on the river. There's two sides to the
Okay.
coin, isn't there?
Yeah, that's
Where
fair
if
enough.
he is
Yeah, yeah.
bluffing here, then sometimes we make him fold. What if he's just randomly kicking off here with ace five or ace four? When you go all in, he's probably going to be like, well, fuck him, well, that didn't work, did it? And fold. Yeah, I agree. If he's got 5-4, he's probably not taking the sign with a plan to folding. But maybe he does, because when you go all in here, I think going all in here would be theoretically a blunder, because we just got the board so locked up. The only cards we do not want to see on the river really are an ace or a six, because that's the only way the draw's complete, or a nine. Because like King Jack's now developed into a draw. So we're going to assume his main draws are going to be 5-4 and King Jack. They're the ones that we're quote unquote worried about,
Mm.
that have reasonable equity against us. The rest don't. So basically, he's got what, an ace. He's a bad card. Four aces, four sixes, four nines. So there's 12 cards we don't want to see. Um,
Would get there with the
so
obvious
that's like
straight draw, but
20.
yeah.
So he's probably got, I don't know, 25% equity against us. So do we want to jam now against that? Will he call if we go all in? Will he be getting the right price to call? He'll be getting close, I reckon. Probably getting
And
close.
he's going to get. I think he's going to get 2-1, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's like a pot-sized raise,
Hmm.
almost. Uh,
I don't know. Maybe I'm too fancy in these spots, but I would never raise here. I would always just call. He's polarized himself. He's absolutely polarized himself to sets or draws,
yeah.
and we're getting all the money up a set on the river. If he has got a set of deuce or a set of threes, we're getting all the money anyway. There's not a single river that can come that will make him not put the rest of his money in with the set. And if he gets there with like a with if a straight draw gets there and we jams and we pay him off tough shit, I'm just
Mm.
calling here. The board's not dynamic enough for me to want to shove. I just want to call and then just call all rivers. And if he checks to us on the river, then we just go all in ourselves.
Okay, let's see if I did that. It's not
And it
impossible.
doesn't matter because
I think.
it looks like he's
I think
committed
so.
himself. So I understand if you jam
Yeah,
here, I understand why you've done it because it looks
yeah.
like he's committed himself.
I
But
think that's what
I
I would
would
have
just
done.
call
Yeah,
anyway, and I would commit myself mentally. I'd commit myself to. I'm all in here. Doesn't matter what the river is. I'm not folding, but maybe calling, in my opinion, is the best way to make sure that we don't lose him with his draws. Whereas by going all in, maybe sometimes we lose him in a draw. But the flip side of that coin is if we just call, maybe on the river he just check folds his draws and we don't get the. So it's two sides of the same coin. I think we're arguing over it. I think we're splitting hairs. I think the EV of call
yeah.
or all in is probably going to be very, very similar. And we've just spent over 5 minutes discussing something that probably doesn't fucking matter. I imagine. That's probably what
That's
we've
all
done.
right. Should we see what I did
Yeah,
in real time?
yeah. Yeah,
I
and
put him all in.
that's obviously fine. I have no issue with it. I wouldn't have done it personally, but that's just a style thing.
Yeah, yeah. He calls, so he's got something.
Let's hope it's the
He
set
wants.
and not the straight draw. Oh, that's
So I
nice.
hope spot
Now we just win all the time, don't we? Unless he's got deuces, of course.
Queen
Ooh.
Deuce. That's a bit weird.
Well, it's a 69 V pip. It's just what you expect to
Yeah,
see, isn't it? It's just what you
yeah,
expect
yeah,
to see.
yeah, yeah.
Lovely stuff, sir.
I would
I mean,
have got paid
we
on the
would have,
river.
yeah, we'd
Yeah,
have got all
yeah,
the money, no matter what happens. There, we're getting all the money, aren't we? And that they said on the turn, I'd imagine the EV because he did look committed. And when these sort of
yeah,
players commit themselves, it's normally because they've got a hand they're going with. So I think like we spent a lot of time
yeah.
discussing the merits of both, and I think both have equal merit, to be honest.
Cool.
Okay, so we're about to make a looser than optimal
Very,
open.
very loose. And I don't. Let's see. Right. I'm surprised I made this because this is a very recent hand. I put the. He's only played. This might be me playing multi tables here, mate. Because I've gone down to three now.
All right, okay.
He's only played three hands by the look of it. I'm
Doesn't
wondering if
matter
I.
though, does it? We're still in the cut-off. We're still not an open, in my opinion. I mean, it might be
No,
you
but I
might be able to
think I
find
might have
range
had the
chat.
button. That's what I mean. I think I might have not noticed because I'm playing. I've
Ah, right,
yeah.
oh,
I don't
right.
know.
Okay, So maybe you think you're on the button.
Yeah, which
Right
is
now, you're
bad. I know.
now you're not bullshitting me here, are you? You're not just making an excuse for making a bad open because that'd be bad.
Oh
If you
no, no, I'll
genuinely
own it.
think this is a misclick, then fine. You know, if it's just like
If
a
I was
lapse in
because I've been
concentration,
doing these. No, I think it is. Well, I don't. I know I wouldn't play this normally if I was
right?
in the cut
Okay,
off
then that's fine then. Yeah.
because I've
Well,
been
in
doing
that
those drills.
case,
I
yeah. Go on.
don't
Sorry.
play too many tables. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, in that
yeah, yeah, yeah,
case, if you know you don't consciously open this, I'm going to take your word for that 100%, and we're going to
yeah, yeah.
assume that you've just thought you were button and not
No,
bluff.
I own up. I own up to my. I don't. Yeah,
No bother.
right. Okay. What trouble do I get myself in here? Let's see. I've
Oh well, it's not caused any harm anyway because the button's got out the way. So
no.
effectively, you've got the button now anyway.
Yeah. Let's see what he does, and then I'm not going to click too far. Right. If I was playing this now, I
Yep.
would check.
Yeah, it's an absolute slam dunk check back. Not even a decision. That if you're playing, if this is in a drill, and we're going to assume now that we were button, not cut off, because it
Yeah.
wouldn't. It'd be like, yeah, you're in a non-existent spot, mate. Fuck off. But if we were in a drill and we should button be cut off, this the two tick option would be the check back without question. It'd be probably
Yeah.
very like 90+% check back, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. Thank goodness. Right. Let's see what he does, and then I'm going to stop clicking. Right. So I've made two pair, not a good two pair, on a board where there's already a straight, and now there's a flush draw. Um, it's, I've, I'm either going to check or bet small. I'm not betting big. If I was playing this now, what would I do? I think I'd bet like a third pot.
I think it's never a check, and I personally would go 2/3 pot. I think we just got the best
Okay.
hand here like a lot of the time. There's lots of like worse hands we can get called by.
Fair.
Yeah, we have. You're right. We haven't got the nuts. 8-9 is the nuts. We also still lose to some other stuff. But I imagine because we check back the flop, stronger hands are going to lead this turn at a pretty high
Yeah.
frequency. So when they don't, I'm like, right, okay, well, I've probably got the. I'm very confident I've got the best hand. I've probably
Yeah.
got like very high equity here, even versus his calling range, very good equity. I don't think it's a spot where we want to bet just 1/3. My 1/3 bets here might be like one of my weakest jacks. Might be like
Jack
um,
nine. Yeah.
like a jack 9, jack 8 suited, that type
Yeah.
jack 6 suited. They might be, but I don't think I'd use 1/3 in general here. I think it's not a size that we should be using that often in position, I don't think. So I would just go with my 60% button here or whatever it is on the day. Sometimes it's 60, sometimes it's 70, whatever it is. I go with like my
Yeah.
like big-ish bet, but not like, the bet that I use that's between half pot and full pot. So sometimes that can be like 75, sometimes it can be 60. I'd be using
Yeah.
that, I'd be clicking that button. So I'd be using like what the cool kids call a big bet, but not like an overbet or anything like that.
Okay. Should we see what I did?
Yep.
I
Yeah, a
think
bit
that's my
small in
third.
my opinion, but whatever.
That's why I get one tick and you get two, Reg.
I'd fucking hell, I get a lot of red triangles as well, fella. Fucking promise you that.
Right, he calls, and a king comes. Right, what's he do? I- I'm probably winning. I'd
Yeah,
be
this
very
is a bit
surprised.
this is a bit thinner because we now lose to a few more things. We lose to King Jack that didn't decided not to raise it. I could see King Jack being in villain's range here sometimes. I could see King 10 being in villain's range here sometimes. So it does change things a little bit, but it don't think it changes things enough to make us want to check back. I think we still have a value bet, and I'd bet the same size on the river as I bet the turn. So I'd be hitting my like 60 to 70% button here. And just like hoping Jack X calls.
Mm,
Hoping. I mean,
okay.
he can have loads of hands in. After we check back the flop, he can have loads of bluff catchers here. They just decide not to fold. He might want to call us with the 7 that he's turned. He might call us with like, loads of 10x that he can have. Weak Jack
Okay.
X. He might, if he doesn't believe us, he might just even look us up with like a 4x or something. Even though he shouldn't, of course. He might. We don't know.
Yeah,
I think we
he's a
definitely still have a value.
50p.
I think we definitely still have
Okay.
a value bet here. I think checking
Okay.
back's too weak.
Okay, I joked.
Yeah, I think it's a bit weak. I think you
That's a
missed some.
mistake.
I think you probably
I
missed.
get
Yeah,
it.
I think you've definitely missed
I
some value there.
I got a triangle there, didn't I? Yep. On the yeah. Okay. What was I scared of? I wonder. I think
I think you were just scared of the check raise coming in. I think you saw the king, and you're just scared of the check raise
yeah.
coming. If the check raise comes,
And
you're always dead, so you just fold.
yeah. And
It's
I
not a
think
tough spot. If we get check raise here, it's not a tough spot because we just nearly always beat. So it's just a
I was
very easy value bet, 2/3 spot, fold to a raise.
okay. What did he have?
Yeah,
No.
maybe we don't get any value from that. So
Yeah.
maybe that check back maybe that doesn't cost you, but long term your check backs definitely cost you EV because there's
Yeah.
absolutely when we check back it's zero EV. Oh, well, there was some EV because we win a share of the pot, but we definitely
It,
I think like we bet 2/3 pot there. It's print. I think it's absolutely
mm,
printing EV, printing it. I think it's a pretty big mistake to not value bet that river.
there's loads of cat. He could call me with King Queen, couldn't he? He could have had King Queen
Yeah,
on the
very
turn.
easily have king queen.
Yeah.
In these
Lots of
games,
jacks.
because I know the games you play in, and some people will be watching this and be like, "Shut the fuck up, Reg," but you'll agree with me probably. You can have ace king here even
Yeah. 100%.
because you
Especially
don't.
Ace King of
There's
clubs.
there's so
Yeah.
many players in these games that don't three bet. This guy might be one of those guys. I've seen.
No. Well, he's
I
got a
fell
50
into the.
V pip with
I
no
value
raises.
on myself so often against these players sometimes because they've just
Yeah.
got hands that are like absolute mandatory three bets pre. There's not hands even my fucking wife three bets, and she's tighter than a fucking mouse's ear roll. Not only in a poker sense, sadly not in any other sense. Probably don't should shut up there in case she ever listens. Um, but yeah, I can't remember what the point. Yeah,
It's a
in
mistake.
these games, they could easily have king queen here, ace king, hands as strong as ace jack even because
Yeah.
there's just very there's not a lot of three betting going on, and so many of these fish they just do not
Yeah.
hit the three bet button. I mean, you look at your reg you've got there, the 1815 guy with 500 hands, he's only three betting 2%. It's
Yeah.
not a game. It's not a pool where there is much three betting, so they can absolutely have a hand like Ace King on the river and play it this
Yeah.
way and call a bet. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Queen
we've
Jack. There's loads.
definitely
Yeah.
there's
Queen Jack.
low.
Jack dies. Yeah. I made a mistake there.
That is a
Never mind.
slam dunk value bet, Squire, and you missed it. So you would have got I don't maybe not a blunder, but you certainly wouldn't have got any ticks. That's for certain.
No.
Not for that
No.
river
I'm with you.
check. I think you're getting ticks all the way to the river, um, but then on the
And
river
then
you're getting like, yeah, you fucked it now, mate.
a yellow or a red one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Next one.
Yep.
Right. Oh, it's on me straight away this time. King Queen under the gun, five-handed. I'm raising. I think.
Absolutely. If you don't, then I'm hanging up. Because number one, you've not raised a mandatory open. Number two, you brought a hand that you've open folded, both of which would
Yeah.
be not good content. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Lovely.
Is that board good for my range? I believe it is. I don't think I should bet big. I'm going to say I bet 35% pot, I
I
think
think
is what
there's
I would bet now.
I think there's plenty
Is
of
it?
options here. I don't think it's a mandatory bet. I think we can check too. I think we can check. I think we can bet 1/3 pot. I think we could probably bet 2/3 pot too against certain villain types. So against this is where I would be using my HUD, and I'd be like, fair enough, you haven't got enough hands, so it doesn't matter. But
It's
if we
only
can get a
five,
bigger
isn't it? Yeah.
sample here, because we can mix between various options, I want to try and choose the best one for this hand in a vacuum against my opponent. So if I think my opponent is particularly passive, I'm just never checking this hand. I'm just betting and I'm going to bet 2/3 pot, 3/4 pot. So if this guy was, say, 40/20, well, maybe no, because that's kind of looks maybe aggressive. In this pool, typically you're up against loose passive players, aren't you?
Yeah.
Usually. So I would just I'd never check this hand. But if I was playing in a speed poker pool against mostly like regs, I would check this hand pure. So that's the kind of point I wanted to get to. I'm happy to start building a pot now out of position versus passive players with like wide ranges. But I
Yeah.
don't. If I'm playing a tight speed poker pool, I don't want to start building a pot with this hand this early by aggressively putting money in the pot myself, because by the time we get to the river, quite often our relative hand strength is going to weaken significantly, and we're going to be out of position in a bigger pot. So if
Yeah.
I was up against a good player here, I would probably just check my entire range. Up against a bad passive player, I would bet. We don't know enough about this player, but we do know he's obviously a fish because he's not reloading. So that would push me into betting. And I could, depends, bet 1/3, bet 2/3, something like that. I don't think there's going to be a huge, great deal of difference between our sizings here in terms of how much he really generated on this street.
Okay. Should we see what I did?
Yep, that's fine.
One
No issue
third.
with that.
He calls. Not what I wanted to see.
That is
Uh,
a dog shit turn.
I have to check.
Yeah,
If I don't check,
it makes
yeah.
our line really really easy for this exact spot though, because right now it's a pure check. There's no betting to be done, and
Mhm.
then we decide if villain
Uh,
bets. We decide what we do
Better than the
between
king
call
of
and
clubs, I
fold.
suppose. Right, check.
So he's gone with a big bet, which is quite distressing to be honest. Um, hmm.
One of his bluffs. All of them. um, I, I don't.
I
I
think the
think
question I'm
this
asking myself for when he bets this size is what's his value. You know, that's why that's the
fl-
first question I'm thinking. What am I beat by?
flushes,
We're
flushes.
beat by flushes, obviously. We're beat by sets that maybe would go this size when we check. Maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. Um, and then his bluffs are going to be quite plentiful. If he's floated the flop with Jack 10, he might now bluff. If he's got some random, just like high club, like an ace of clubs or a king of clubs, I think because I think he wouldn't use this size with like a set or a top pair, and it's not easy to have flushes. And I don't think it. Yeah, I think I'm calling on this street and then not being. It's already uncomfortable, but he's polarizing here, and he's basically saying, "Yeah, I've got a flush, mate," and I'm not ready to believe him yet.
No.
And I'm happy with that river because that
That's a really
removes
good
some
card for me, I think.
it removes some of
Yeah,
his value. It's not a good card for our range, but it's a good card for in terms of like there's now less sets of nines to fucking worry about. For example, if he had a hand like Queen Four of Hearts, which I guess is the only Queen Four fucking left, which is only one combination, or if he had a hand like 6/4 of hearts and spades, things like that that these players can have. We've gone ahead of some of those. His bluffs haven't improved. Yeah, I think we have a check here and probably an uncomfortable call down because he hasn't bet a single nine on the turn for that size. You wouldn't imagine. So
no.
overall, I think check. Hope it checks through, but if it doesn't, probably just shut my eyes and fucking click call.
27 in the pot.
Oh, that's a slam dunk call versus that size because we now beat value. He might have Queen Jack or something like that. He could have been betting a hand like Queen Jack or Queen 10 on the turn without a club because he's scared of it. He didn't want to let another club come off. Such an easy call. Could we beat value when we obviously beat all his bluffs? And he did have a bluff. Happy days. Nice one. So what made you think you put that hand in for review? Because to me, you played that hand well. So what was it you
Um,
had doubts about?
Call on the turn and the bet on the flop. I think the river when he sizes down, I I I I I didn't. I probably did think about it for quite a while, but I just marked it as review because I think just because I'm playing so many tables and I'm not sure. Hang on, have I played that right? I've won it, but I want to know have I played it correctly?
Yeah, I think
Because
you played it really well. I really do. I think
and it's yeah, based
if
on
you
what we
if you were
yeah
playing if that came up in like the drills, I think you're getting all ticks there. Maybe even all double ticks. Although I think flop would probably be a double
yeah
tick for the check. I think.
yeah
But yeah, I think you played the hand well.
cool. Right, what's the next one? Zuma race. It's on
Yep.
me. He's limped. What's his? Oh, I haven't got any stats on him. Oh, they're all the way over there, man. Don't know what they're doing over there. He's only played
Yeah,
four
so
hands.
yeah, so we
Yeah.
don't know anything about him really. Well, this might be the hand is limped, or it might be that he's now going to be 40/0. But either way, he looks like he's passive, doesn't
Mm-hmm. Okay.
he? Yep.
Fold. Call. Ooh. Three ways to the flop with ace jack. Let's see what they do. He checks. Okay. I think it's a good board for my range. Um, if I was playing this now, I'm conscious that there's two other people in the pot, but I would bet a third pot, I think.
Yeah, I think betting one to pot's completely standard here. And we could
Yeah.
maybe go bigger because we've got the 62/30 in the hand, who looks like an absolute whopper. But we can just make larger bets on later streets against him. So yeah, I think 1/3 pot's completely standard here. I wouldn't, I wouldn't if you sized up because you know there's every chance that one of these guys has got a worse ace that isn't folding for any price. So if you were to go 60%, I'd be like, yeah, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're up against two bad players who aren't going to exploit you. 1/3, 2/3, whatever. Just don't check.
Okay. Let's see what happens. 11 in the pot. That's my 35% button. He calls. He folds.
Excellent.
Wait, let's see what he does. Um, that has completed a straight, and now there's two spades, and I've got an ace of spades in my hand. Um, I've got an ace with a. I don't think. I think I should check if I'm honest.
No, we still have to
Um,
bet. We have to bet, and it's sad if he raises, but it's just not so much value to be honest. So yeah, Jack some of his hands have improved that are called the flop. Jack 10's the obvious one. Like
yeah.
Queen Nine's got there now. Queen Eight's got there. Ace Queen he hasn't three bets got there, but we were already behind to that anyway. But we still have a bet against a 62V pip. It's just
Okay.
uncomfortable. But
Okay.
I still think
Yeah.
you're right. If this was against like a tight regular, I wouldn't hate
Yeah.
checking back here either. We haven't got a
Okay.
hand we want to go three streets with. Getting raised would be it wouldn't be a disaster because we just have a relatively easy fold.
Mm,
But against these players here, this is where you make all your money in these games. Just make a nice big value bet again, like another nice big 2/3 pot, like anything half pot to anything like 9 blinds to 13, 14 blinds here. This guy's got an ace five, ace six, ace seven. He's not folding. If he's got an 8/7, or maybe not an 8/7, if he's got like a pair plus a straight draw,
10-7. 10-7 a call, would it?
yeah, like Jack Queen, Jack Nine, all those
Yeah.
types of hands. Yeah, we have to bet again. There's just value to be had, sir.
Because of this
Yeah,
type of player.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable betting this hand because we know it's thin and we don't want to be raised. So what's
Yeah.
happening here, what's going through our mind is, I think I have the best hand, but I'm really scared I'm going to get raised, so I'm not going to bet. That's what's going
Okay.
through our mind in game. And we all know it is. We don't like to admit it, but that's what's going through our mind a lot. Sometimes we check back hands, not because not because we think like we don't have the best hand or because we think it's like the best TV player, or whatever. We do it because, quite frankly, we're scared of getting fucking raised.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
and then we end
So,
up just like if we check back here, then they pot the who we call anyway. Just make the bet yourself. If he raises, deal with it. It hasn't happened yet, but deal with it. But right now, in my
okay.
opinion, versus a 62 V pip, it's an uncomfortable, but it's a mandatory value bet in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. No, I think I might have done it. We'll soon find out. I think if I was playing it before we just had that conversation, I probably would have checked. Okay, that's a shame. Right. So basically, it's a bet, and if he raises, then I can get out of there.
Probably, yeah. If he raises, we
Unless it's
probably
a
just beat.
really small raise. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
probably just beat because like he's just gonna he's representing a hand that's better than one pair. And when players are representing hands that are better than one pair, they normally have hands that are better than one pair. So we
Yeah.
can just make a sad fold. Now I know we're going to call this river if he leads. But do we bet if he doesn't? Yeah, we can't
That
raise
is
it now. I don't think. I don't think
He's
we
been
can
that's
raise now. 6-7's got there. Flushes
done
have
it.
got there. We lose to
But
two
I
pairs.
presume I call.
Yeah, it's just a call now. It can't be raised.
Yeah, you said
Yeah,
five. Yeah,
so
you said
so
five against it.
we bet the turn he's going to fold. Probably. So again, you've taken a line that in my opinion isn't the best line. But again, as often happens in poker, it's worked out for the best because maybe you've got an extra five bigs that I wouldn't have got there. But I think that the underlying fundamental thing to take away from this is like don't check back turns against fish because you're scared. Because
Yeah, yeah,
their ranges are just way wider than your average person. This would be a
yeah,
check
yeah.
back against a reg. If I was playing this against you or you were playing it against me, I could get behind the turn check back a lot more.
Mm.
Because if you bet into me and I'm in his position, I'm not going to call as wide as he's going to call, and I'm also going to raise more than he's going to raise. So there's two reasons for you to like be deterred from betting. But against that guy, no, against these like passive guys, these loose passive guys, there's massive gaps between VP and PFR. You've just got to get the thinner value from them. That's how you make all your money in these pools by getting
Hmm.
thinner value against the Muppets before someone else gets them.
Cool. Right. Should we do this one now?
Yep.
I'm 8-8 under the gun by the look of it. We raised it. Ooh,
Aha. So
it's
what do you
only
think you
one
should
and a
do? What do you think you should do here?
call. It's two. It's only one and a half bigs. I don't. It's basically a four bet if I raise. um, I think I should just call it. I don't. It's a bit of an. Oh, blimey, heck, look at him. 100.
Yeah, I was wondering when you were going to get around to that.
Yeah. Um, he's. I. I honestly think I should call.
I am all in as fuck.
Okay.
We just right. We don't want to
Three
pay
bet.
rake if we can avoid. We're in a
33. Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy's 173 and he's a moron. The guy's an utter moron. This could be pocket deuces. It could be fucking jack seven off suit. It could be anything. Let's just get that clear. The guy's playing 100% VP. He's pre-flop raising 73% of the time. And it looks like he's three bet at least once, maybe more. And we've got two eights. They're vulnerable as shit. And we're in a very high rake environment. I want to capture any fold equity we've got now and I want to make sure I don't get blown off my hand by this moron.
Yeah,
Because what
because
if we
there's no.
call, the flop comes down 10 high, and he goes all in with pocket deuces, and we just like, oh, I'll fold then. Just too easy to get fucked up in these spots. I'm just all in. Look at the stack sizes of them both. They both got
Yeah, 'cause
pathetic stack sizes.
there's no rake pre-flop, is there? Yeah, yeah.
No, we
No,
take it down pre now. There's 9 blinds in there. We go all in. I'd say the all in's gonna work a decent percentage of the time, and I think like Villain 17's calling range isn't gonna have pocket eights crushed either, because I think he's gonna call with pocket deuces, for example. I think he's gonna call with ace four suited, so he's gonna call with hands that we've got fucking crushed. I'm not messing around here. I'm just all in because anything
villains.
else is just
You've
fucking
got to say
weird.
villain 16 almost folds all the time, don't you?
You would
Yeah.
imagine so, yeah. He rarely has a hand that's pocket eights is beat by. Maybe because he's got this guy next to him who's an absolute whopper. Maybe he's got a few traps in his range. If he has, that stinks to be us. We're going to walk into it. Maybe he's flatting queens, kings, aces here because he's confident that villain 17 is going to reopen the betting. So if he's cute enough to do that, then good for him. Again, he just gets to be a beneficiary of my wanting to like just try and get heads up versus villain 17 or take the pot down pre. I think all in's by far and away the best player here at these stack
So,
depths versus these villains.
right, let's have a look. I'd be very surprised if that's what I did. Right, okay. Oh my goodness. Right, there we go. He
Yeah, I
folded.
mean villain 16 is just clearly a whopper.
Yeah.
I was going to say something worse then, but probably shouldn't. Um, yeah, okay, let's move along. So we now he bets, and now we're just in that right call down mode, I guess. Nothing
Yeah.
much else we can do.
Okay. I think that's a good card for me.
Yeah, we like it. Yep. Nothing to say, nothing to do. Just hit the call button and just call again.
Okay, that's fine. But I should have jammed it all in pre
I would have just jammed it in pre.
because of who he is. I got you. Okay.
And he might have flicked it in with that, Or maybe, but ideally he folds that pre, and we just take down 9 big blinds in a spot where we've got like less than 50% equity versus two ranges.
Yeah.
Um, if he folds that
Okay.
pre-flop, it's an absolutely fantastic result. If he doesn't fold pre-flop, then we've got our money in with as a slight equity favourite. So it's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
end of the world. And he's going
Okay.
to have all kinds of hands like that. He's going to have King 10, King Jack. I mean, I've seen these guys a million times, and they'll do a lot of min three betting. And who knows what their ranges are like for calling it off when you shove for 30 odd bigs.
And I
That's not your
suppose
that's not your
if
problem.
say if he does call me with two overcards and wins, he is literally sat to my right with twice as many chips.
Yeah.
Then, so it's not the
Then
end of the world, is it? Yeah.
no, we learn a bit more about him because
Yeah.
if he just calls us there, we say he calls us there with King Jack.
Yeah.
Then we know we can just like four bet shove really wide against him for value, and we've just learned something, haven't we? We've
Oh,
learned something about how he plays. I'm
yeah. Yeah.
just all we're just all in pre because you're in a really, really
Yeah.
egregious high rake environment. So
Mm.
anytime you can take a pot down pre-flop,
Yeah.
when there was 9 blinds
Yeah.
in that pot, which is not insignificant against an
Yeah.
incredibly wide range. So if you've got any
Yeah.
fold equity pre, get in there and take it, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
try and take the money rake free. I
I I
think
gotcha.
I will probably jam us up to 50 bigs there. More than 50 bigs, I'm probably doing what you did in calling. But up to 50
Yeah.
bigs, I think I'm just like, you know what, let's just run
Yeah.
it, mate, see
But
what
he's only
happens.
got 21. Yeah. Oh no, he's not. 'Cause he's
You
just
had
running
35 at the start of the hand. So if we
35.
had like
Yeah.
60 bigs, I probably wouldn't be willing to run it for 60 bigs.
Yeah.
Although I'll still be fucking mightily tempted. But like
Yeah.
sub 50 bigs, I'm like, yeah, I'm just all in, mate. And let's just see
Yeah.
what happens.
No problem. So the main blunder was pre-flop. Right. Okay.
And it's not even a problem because obviously there's nothing wrong with call. I think call just guarantees us paying rake and allows him to realise some of his equity, whereas
Yeah.
jam means we sometimes don't play rake and we get to deny some of his equity.
Yeah. It's
So I
one
just
of
think jam's
those
a better play.
situations where on the drills it would never be an all-in,
Well, the
but
thing
because of
is,
the
on the
opponent, yeah.
drills, it wouldn't have some fucking idiot sat there with 35 bigs, min
Yeah. I
three
don't know.
betting. So
No, I don't.
you
Yeah.
can't replicate this in GTO. You can't
No.
replicate it because small blind's called and he's min squeezed. You
Oh,
cannot
there's
replicate
three-handed as
it.
well. Yeah. 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 Of
Yeah,
course. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
this is just where it just comes down to roll your sleeves up, get stuck in,
Yeah.
and that's no one's ever, that spot's not going to be solvable unless you
Mm-hmm.
start unless multi-way
Yeah.
solves become available and you can node lock for morons. And then maybe eventually down the line it is solvable. And I reckon it would just jam there a lot. And even if it doesn't, I don't care. I think jam's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Should we move on to the next one?
Yes.
Cool. Three-handed on me. Button raise. Three bet. What would I three bet if I was sat here now? 11 big blinds maybe.
12 bigs I go. I think 12 is if we look at his solver world these days, 2.5x button. 12 seems to be the small blind. There we go. But 11, 12, who really gives a shit? But when I've been looking lately, 12 seems to be the favoured size, and 12 seems to be the size that a lot of the regs I play against are using. So I'm presuming that 12's
That's what's
the
so.
current fashionable thing to do. But yeah, 11, even 10, who cares? Just get your three bet in.
He folds. Okay. He's got an 87 VPIP. I think I'm just betting.
Oh, but yeah, without
Um,
question. If he's got a 10, it's just our turn to die. He's got an 83 VPIP. I'm just betting over three. I'm just going over three streets here to just try and make sure he doesn't fold. So I'd be like literally quarter pot,
over half
quarter
pot.
pot.
Quarter
No,
pot. Okay.
I'd go tiny because it doesn't matter. He's going to get all the money. If we go quarter pot here, he
Oh yeah.
calls. That's going to be 33 in the pot. He's going to have 38 left. Then we then go maybe slightly bigger than quarter on the turn, 1/3 on the turn. He calls and you shove
Mm.
the river. I'd be milky, and I'd risk like a king or an ace coming off that's going to spoil my party a little bit. I'm willing to
Okay.
risk that, and I'm just going
I
to milky.
suspect I did a third pot. Let's see. 23 in the pot. Yeah, I did a
And that's
third.
fine. There's no problem with that. It's completely, I would go a bit smaller because again, it might just be fancy play bullshit from me, but I just want a milky. Happy
Okay,
days, he calls. So now we've got
brilliant.
less than SP. We've got an SP of less than one. So if you want, there's nothing wrong with jamming here. But I wouldn't. I think I'd probably just rather still keep betting small. I think jam here is going to filter out
Fold
a
him.
few too many hands, and like
Okay,
isolate us against 10x a little bit too often. Whereas if we just bet quarter pot
let's
at
see.
10 bigs here, yeah, I like this because it allows you to call with more hands, basically.
Okay,
Is the
good.
way I
That's.
like it.
I think that was my question on this hand. I can't remember what happens, but oh, he folded. Yeah, yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, but
I
I like that size though because the bigger
yeah,
we go, the fewer hands he can call with, and, and
yeah.
and both in theory, but also in practice, I think as well. So
Okay,
I like
cool.
just keeping going. I like the fact that you didn't
Yeah,
stick him all because it's easy to stick him in there. We've got less than a pot size bet left,
that's
so it's
yeah. And
easy.
I
It's easy
I
to say, yeah,
wondered.
I'm
Yeah,
all
yeah,
in, mate. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
actually like your sizing better versus someone with those stats and with the effective stack that was left. I actually like your line better than just putting him all in. I like it a
Okay,
lot
cool.
better. Now I could be wrong there, but I like it personally.
So
How I would have played the hand the same as you. I would not have jammed the turn.
brilliant. Right. Are we ready for another one on this video?
We certainly are.
Cool. Right. Three-handed again. I got kings. Now which button? This one. Is it fold? Assume I raise because that is a bit weird if I didn't. Okay. 88-13 VPIP. He calls. Oh, yeah. I know why this is on there. Right.
Right. Here's something I want to talk about from the start.
Yeah.
I think your ISO size was too small. We only went 3.5x,
Blind
didn't
against
we?
blind against blind.
Yeah, against these 88 V pips, just go bigger.
5.
Six, whatever you want, five, six, 4, 5, 6, just bigger than 3.5.
Okay.
I was watching a stream I enjoy watching the other day. Komodo Dragon Jesus is called. You might be aware, you might not be. He was playing 400 nil on Unibet, and when people were limping small blind, he was going six. And I know he's well studied, so I'm presuming that's a thing, in theory. So I wouldn't have gone six. I'd have probably max I would have gone would be four, but if he's going six and he's a good player, there'd be a reason for it. He won't just be randomly like ploughing his own furrow there.
Yeah. There's too small there. Okay.
So yeah, I would be, and against 88 VPIP, I'd just be making it a bigger bet. I mean, as it
Right.
happens, it's worked out nicely, but I would be just going bigger as a rule against it. Against all limps, I would go at least 4x, and versus an 88 VPIP, I would maybe go 5 or even 6. You're not
Right.
you're not exploiting hard enough by going 3.5, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Now I got top set on a board where there's already a straight and a flush draw, but I'm presuming I'm raising here.
Oh, I wouldn't raise here.
Okay.
I would
Shall I
not
see what?
raise here.
Shall I
The
see what
reason
I
I
did?
wouldn't, but before we no,
No.
before we do, the reason I wouldn't raise here is because yeah, we've got top set. Um, but I'm wanting to see how the board develops first because it's top set. It's a good hand, but it's also very vulnerable. It's vulnerable to a nine. It's vulnerable to an ace. It's vulnerable to a club. I'm wanting to see how the board starts to develop and before I start wanting to build an enormous pocket. It's a big disaster. We raise here, and the turn is a club or an ace or a nine, and then he starts leading big. All of a sudden, we don't want to play a big pot anymore. So I don't.
No.
Even though we've got top set here, with the potential we're already beat by a straight, it's very, very, very unlikely. But it's not the nuts, even though it's effective nuts against an 88 V pip. I don't want to start racing just yet. If the turn's a brick, maybe then I want to start putting quite a lot of money in. But I don't want to start doing it yet. I'm just calling all day here.
Okay. See. Right. Okay. Mistake.
No, maybe it's not a
That.
mistake. Maybe in
Well.
theory this is fine. I just wouldn't do it because I'm wanting to see. If the deuce of diamonds comes up on the turn and he bets big again, I'm
Mm.
maybe just calling again. If the deuce of diamonds comes off and he bets small, then I'm going to raise him. If he checks, then I'm going to bet big. I've got position. I'm just going to use my
Yeah, I
position.
don't need to. Yeah, that's fair enough.
I don't
Yeah.
want to reopen the betting here. Fine, this guy can re-raise and we can be like, cool. I've got top set. Let's just fucking run it. But I think we can do better than that.
Okay. He calls, thankfully. Right.
That's one of
Okay.
those asshole turns that we weren't happy about seeing.
Yeah. He checks. Right.
So what are you
This
thinking?
is this is a tricky spot because I'm pretty confident I've got the best hand, but there are lots of hands that can beat me. Would he check with him to trap me? There's 33 in the pot. He's got 68 left. I think if I was playing this hand now, basically, if I check him, I'm telling him I haven't got a flush. I think that's the story I'm telling, which might be good because it'll make him bluff us. But by keeping, I think I should check, to be honest.
Right, there's a few things to unpack here. First of all, you said this, what was it? You said there's some hands that beat me here. Yeah, there is, but that's not necessarily that big of a deal because we have redraws against them.
Yes.
And then you said if you check, you're telling him you don't have a flush. Well, just check some flushes sometimes if that's what you're worried about. And
Yeah.
this is the card where we're just going to want to like check back our entire range at high frequency because we're not always going to have top set here. We're going to have a lot of hands that want to check back here.
Mm.
It's just to me this is a pretty easy check back. We don't really want to reopen the betting. Getting check raised would be a an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
Then we can still bluff catch a lot of rivers. Um, yeah, this is a. You said it's a tricky spot. I think it's like the more you drill and you see, the more you realize this is just like a really trivial check back. It's not even even against an 88 V pip. For me,
Yeah.
it's not even a decision. It's just a very easy check back, and let's play the river.
It's quite kind. I
And now
think
we
it's a
just have yeah.
slam dunk ball.
It's an irritating situation, but it's just a call because A, he's a moron, so he could be value betting worse. B, he might just have bluffs. You know, he might just have a hand like Ace Queen with the Ace of Clubs and think it's a fucking nuts because he's an idiot.
Yeah, yeah. I think. Oh, should we see what the result was?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could have raised him.
So we could have
No,
raised him,
yeah.
but that's not the
No,
we shouldn't
no, I
raise.
know.
But
No, no.
when someone pots a river into us on this board, we don't raise without flushes. We bluff raise sometimes. We can like bluff raise the Ace of Clubs or whatever we wanted to, but we don't raise value that's like worse than a flushy when someone
Yeah.
pots it. So yeah, I mean the turn check back got us paid. So you could like now you're thinking, oh shit, I missed value on the river by being passive,
No, I'm not.
but you gained value by
Yeah.
being passive on the turn. So
No. Yeah, I
you
didn't
know
really think that. Yeah, yeah.
this bet
I
call on the flop is interesting, shall we say?
yeah. And I think if this was 2 weeks ago, I think I would have bet that turn based on with the conversations we had and the things things you'd spotted about how I played my sets. So I think yeah, I think that's quite yeah, I'm quite pleased with how I played that to be honest. Apart from the flop, the raise on the flop. Okay. Right,
Yeah,
move on to next.
and if he's
Yeah,
fucking bet calling pocket threes, then raising the flop's fucking magnificent, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I mean that is a particularly ambitious play from him. Anyway, before we go on, how much more time have you got?
Oh, I've got another hour.
Right, we'll do a second video then, rather
Should we
than
pause
like
it?
carrying on. I don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make a 2 hour video, so
No, no.
we'll say goodbye on this one.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna have another extra time with Owen this week. There's gonna be loads of content this week. 'Cause I've got loads of hands I want to review, so I
Okay.
might end up getting about 6 videos out this week, which is really quite good. I'm really quite happy with. But yeah, we're gonna go now. Cheers, Owen, and we'll see you all on the next video.